Now, coaches, trainers, health professionals, this is for you. This interview that I did with Phil Graham was originally recorded for the My Body Blend show, but this is so important, and I really believe that this is going to be able to help you. I had to share it with you right here because it comes down to you being able to take care of yourself, you functioning as the person that you need to be, you being able to get your clients the best results possible, and you being able to set up your business so you're able to have the best impact, get the best results with your clients, but also have the freedom, the meaning, and be able to earn the money that you want as well. Phil does an astounding job in this interview, and I really want you to be able to take a ton of notes that I know I did, and I know so many others that have listened to this episode as well. Now, also join us in the Fitness Business Success Circle. I'll pop a link below for you to join the free group. This is where the coaches and trainers, where we come together to be able to create the support group where you can't get anywhere else, but also making sure that you get access to the live streams and the guides, making it super simple for you to be able to create the business that you want, so you do have the freedom, you do have the meaning, so you're actually enjoying what you're doing, and you're able to live the lifestyle by earning the money that you want as well. Now, I'm really looking forward to hearing from you after this episode. Soak in the greatness that Phil's got, because he seriously is going to be spitting gold. Now it's time for you. Phil, thank you so much for coming back onto the show. I'm pumped that you're here, mate, because I'm always walking away a better human being with a big smile on my face. I'm smarter. I'm ready to run through walls after we chat, but I'm obviously pumped to get into this because we're going to be delving into some serious stuff. And this is actually exactly why I wanted to get you on the show. And also, as I start actually finishing writing the book, there's a couple of loose ends where I know you're going to be able to tie together for me. But before we start jumping into anything, I want to say a huge thank you, Phil, for taking the time, mate.
My pleasure, buddy. It's always great to catch up and talk with you. We always have a great laugh, and there's a lot of content and value shared, so good stuff.
All right, let's rock and roll with this. Now, if someone didn't listen to the last episode that we did, I just want to make sure that they know who Phil is. So, Phil, in a nutshell, who are you and why are you so phenomenal?
Okay, in a very nutshell, I am a meathead at heart / academic / type 1 diabetic / educator within the fitness industry. I'm also a retired competitive bodybuilder. I was very successful in my earlier years of bodybuilding. In my junior years, I traveled the world and competed all over the place from 18 to around about 24. And now I've transitioned much more into the education of fitness professionals. I've had a lot of university study and things like that along the way. I've overcome type 1 diabetes. I've written basically a textbook / Bible on fitness and diabetes, which has recently been published on 20th of October 2016. We've just hit over 6,000 sales on that, and we are on the 17th of March. So I'm very, very proud of that, and it's reaching all different corners of the globe, impacting a lot of people's lives. The feedback has been great, both from a readership perspective, the normal public, people with diabetes, and also in the professional sector as well. So endocrinologists and other key figures like that. My day-to-day now is involved with speaking all around the country. I live in Ireland, but I speak in the UK, speak in Europe, and I educate a lot of trainers in gyms, in different fitness facilities. I go to a lot of fitness expos, I talk, I write for pretty much all the mainstream magazines that are basically in the shelf that you would see. So everything from Muscle and Fitness, Men's Health, to all sorts of different things. And I've even been writing fitness columns for newspapers and just all the usual stuff. So I've a great passion for fitness, and I discovered it when I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. I had to change my ways basically overnight, became obsessed with it, fell in love with it, engrossed it, went into bodybuilding, pursued education in it, and now I'm giving back to fitness professionals, coaches, and I've spent my years as a personal trainer as well. And I've transitioned, and I'm what we would call semi-retired / retired from that now, and my demographic has changed. But yeah, so it's quite an interesting life in fitness, and at the moment now I don't compete in bodybuilding, but I still keep myself in very reasonable condition, and I live off.
Shut up, it's not reasonable. You look fantastic, Phil. Don't give me that.
There's always room for improvement, Chris. You know the score. So But yeah, no, I mean everything's been great. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to speaking to you. As I say, every time we speak, we have a laugh. We drop a lot of knowledge bombs, and we go straight to the jugular with the content. There's no fluff, and that's what I want to share with the guys today. So, yeah, let's get stuck in.
All right, awesome. So I absolutely love that, and I really respect who you are as a man, as a coach, and as an educator. And this is really one of the reasons why I wanted to get you on here, to be able to share your message, because I know your message is worth a lot. So I want to go straight for the jugular. What is the one message that you want to share with the people that want to improve and transform their body and health?
Well, first of all, whenever we look at the current state of affairs with people's bodies nowadays, they don't move enough and they eat too many calories. And a lot of people don't respect the actual main element of fat loss, and that is energy balance. It's very, very simple when you learn the key elements of that and you respect them and you use them as a principle to live a life. So most people, when they look at fitness, they look at it as a ball and chain effort. They look at it as pain, sacrifice to get in shape. The reality is, people think like that because of what they've been fed with the media, what they've been fed by uneducated sources of information. And what tends to happen is they develop this bias that everything fitness related, especially these new people that are wanting to get in shape or develop their bodies, they develop this almost obsession. They develop this social exclusion, high levels of restriction. They develop a lot of basically unnecessary negative behaviors that take away from the whole purpose of health and fitness, and that is to improve the quality of your life. There's so many people that I see start a fitness endeavor with great intentions, but they end up hating it. And when I say hating it, that's very secret to them in the sense that it's dominating their whole social life. It's dominating everything they do. It's coming first priority over family and friends. Yes. They get anxious about what they eat. They get anxious about not going to the gym. And they don't understand collectively that realistically, there's a lot of flexibility that they actually have. And we'll talk about some things that could be incorporated within that. And people tend to think more is better. They tend to think that they have to sacrifice or be in pain to succeed. The reality is it's far from that. Unless you are a professional athlete and you have to push your body beyond its physiological need or beyond where it's physiologically comfortable in terms of how it looks, then the reality is your fitness is meant to be a long-term life endeavor. It's not meant to be anything else. And, I have been there, done that, paid the price with overdoing training, overdoing the diet, overdoing the supplements, overdoing everything, and basically crashing and burning multiple times and driving myself through the fucking burnt forest. So I want to be able to share the knowledge that I've acquired from the mistakes that I've made, all the learning and studying that I do. And that is, Chris, I don't claim to know it all about fitness. I learn something about my diet, my training every day. And there's no one complete system. There's no one complete diet. I'm in love with what I do. And in order for me to be in love with that and to get my best out of it, the approach has to be effective and efficient because it has to fit in and not take away. So when you begin a fitness endeavor, respect the main principles, and that is, energy in, energy out, especially when it comes to weight gain, weight loss. Respect the training stimulus that you're doing. What are you doing on average? Is it strength training? Is it endurance training? Is it circuit classes? You are what you do on average. And if you spend the bulk of your time dipping in and out of a calorie deficit, calorie surplus, calorie deficit, calorie surplus, or you're dipping in and out of going to the gym, training with weights, not training with weights, going to the gym, training with weights, there's nothing on average there, so the results and the progress are minimal. So it's very important to work off principles, not exact tactics, but principles. Yes. Principles allow you to be flexible. So whenever we talk about principles, whenever we talk about the kind of stuff that we want to do, I will tell you how I basically frame my life and how I frame clients' lives that are everyday normal people, whether they're personal trainers that work 40 hours a week in the gym. And personal trainers, believe it or not, are one of the biggest culprits for letting their physique go. Okay, anybody that's in entrepreneurship are big culprits for letting their physique go. And the reality is we need to come together with correct principles that tie in seamlessly with their lifestyle. And it's very important, first of all, before you start fitness, that you actually ask yourself, why am I doing this? So there has to be a what behind everything that you do. And that what is going to be, right, Okay, let's take somebody, for example. Let's take a typical entrepreneur that is maybe watching the show, that maybe is maybe a personal trainer, maybe a gym owner, maybe somebody that is just owns a business. Why would health and fitness complement you? You have to ask that question. And then you have to link that to how you behave on a daily basis. So where you currently are right now, ask yourself, are you confident in how you look naked? Are you confident with how you feel every day? Do you feel great in your own body and in your own skin? If the answer to that is no, do you think that that is going to have a negative effect on your ability to think, perform, and live your life to the best that you can? Of course it's not, okay? So the reality is you have to realize that health and fitness is meant to make you feel better, look better, perform better, and basically be an all-round better human being. If that is not your end goal and you simply just want to perform it out of anger, you simply want to perform it to impress someone, you simply want to perform it to, I don't know, whatever that end goal may be. The number one purpose of health and fitness is to make you look, feel, and perform better in every aspect of your life. So, again, typical examples. We see people going to the gym when they don't want to go. We see people eating foods that they don't want to eat. We see people restricting themselves when they don't need to. And again, this comes down to education, but you know, when your body's telling you you're tired, you've had a long day, you're stressed, and you want to go in and bash yourself to pieces, that doesn't complement the idea of health and fitness. And it's very important that you understand what is actually going on with your body. It's very important that you look. It's very important that you look and you actually say to yourself, right, what is actually going on with my health? Okay, and you know, people aren't willing to ask those questions, and when you don't ask those questions, you don't get quality answers. Okay, so you know, it's absolutely fundamental that you know the what behind your fitness efforts, and it's for you, and everything that you do is supportive of continuous personal development, no exceptions. And then you can think about doing the competitions, then you can think about impressing someone with your strength or your appearance. So, you know, those things are ultra important, Chris. So let's go into those principles, okay? So these are like, you know, basically rules, and I know this is very much flowing from conversation to conversation, but it's all collective.
Yes.
So if we have, this is probably the only podcast where you're not going to be able to ask questions.
Go, brother, go, run with it.
When we look at the principles, the first thing we have to do is obviously the what, which I talked about. Then we have to look at the main thing, and that is, what is your goal? Okay, is that going to be weight gain? Is it going to be fat loss? And there's going to be people listening to this that are underweight or overweight, or they're happy with their weight. I guarantee there's not many people that are happy with their weight listening to this. You know, Chris, if I even said to you, are you happy with your weight now? You could say, well, there's room for improvement.
Yeah.
Everybody always has room for improvement. So, you know, we got to look at it from, first of all, a goal perspective. And that goal will shape the way you structure calories and training. Okay, it's simple as that. So let's go for the most popular option, which would be fat loss. Okay, let's look at fat loss in a very simple context. Fat loss is burning off more energy than you take in over a period of time, whilst at the same time promoting muscle growth, promoting strength, and promoting an improvement in physical appearance. So how do we do that? Well, we got to consider four key things. We've got to consider energy balance. Your calories, the energy that you take in from food, is going to determine, one, how you perform. It's going to determine, two, how your body processes food and utilizes it for immune function and every other essential aspect of development. Three, we have to consider the training stimulus that you're putting yourself under. If we want to build muscle, get stronger, if we want to improve strength, we need a reason for that to happen. Strength training is the perfect form of exercise to allow that to happen. We then need to consider recovery, and that's simply rest, recuperation, sleep, lifestyle management, stress management. Training is a stress. We have to accommodate that with unstressful or de-stressful activities, sleep, stress management, meditation, mindfulness, which is such a massive, massive, massive element. And then we round that all off with a collective approach in terms of making that sustainable, and that comes with educated, evidence-based information that allows us to make the best health and fitness choices that have the biggest bang for their buck and the biggest return. And that includes meal timing, that includes food sources, that includes exercise selection, program design setup that's in line with your fitness. All of that stuff needs to be considered. So, I mean, we could talk about each one in length for an hour and a half, but that's the structure of the way things should be. And things like supplements, things like all those minutiae details, they come at the very end. Energy balance will come first, your calories. You need enough calories. The first thing is finding how many calories you actually need to maintain your weight. An assessment period of doing that, and then once you get to that period, then you can work up or work down if your goal is weight gain or your goal is weight loss. And from there, you then move. And, you layer everything in, and you have to realize that in order to be able to get a qualitative result, your fat loss has to be slow and tactful. Notice how I said fat loss, not weight loss. Okay, we want to lose fat, we don't want to lose weight. Anybody can go on a diet and training regime and drop weight really fast. Is it sustainable? No. Are you going to get weaker? Yes. Are you going to look with great popping, aesthetically looking muscles? No. Okay. Are you going to be able to perform well in the gym? No. Are you going to be able to enjoy the finer things in life? Are you going to be able to enjoy a party? Are you going to be able to do this and that? No. Are you going to increase your risk of injury? Yes. Are you going to there's a host of things, what happens when you're unsustainable in your approach. Okay. So anywhere you want me to go from that?
Drop the mic. That was brilliant. That was the best 10 minutes. I don't think I've stopped smiling this whole time. No, I've been making notes because I wanted this brilliance, this point, and you're spitting gold, Phil. So important. The most important thing, and especially with the way you started that, it was what's the real goal of what we're doing right now? And that is so we can look, feel, function better on a day-to-day basis and get on with our lives. And I love that you brought the point up where so many people, and you admitted to it, and I've certainly done it before, we've gone and done the wrong things. We've burnt ourselves out. We've done the shitty diets. We've done too much, too hard, too often, and burnt ourselves out. And I think it's a part of the reason, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it's part of the reason why we want to share this message now of there's a right way to do it that's much easier and simpler. We don't have to get caught up with it. So we've covered some great principles. Firstly,
there's a lot of, whenever you talk about that, there's a lot of reasons why, and that's one, lacking people lacking seeking out good quality help and mentorship. Whenever I was coaching and learning, I never actually went to a mentor. I never actually went to a coach, and I learned everything myself. But as you know, in business, it's the same with fitness. If you pay someone who is an expert in what they do, that can save you a lot of time, money, and effort, making mistakes, dragging yourself out, doing the wrong things, and then ending up finding a few months later, I've wasted my time. Yeah. So, the reality is, seeking out good quality help is absolutely essential. And, the same thing goes for, sourcing information, especially in the fitness industry. Just because somebody's in shape doesn't mean they know what they're talking about. Yes. You consider genetics and everything else that goes on. Two, anybody can word up a document. Anybody can have 10,000 followers on Instagram just by putting their ass out. You got to look at all these things. And, in no way, shape, or form are a lot of these sources credible. And people are buying into them and trusting into them just because there's a polished exterior. But when you actually look at the theory behind what they're saying, it's very sketchy. Ask them to explain it, and 99% won't be able to do that.
And the beauty is as well is I've always found, and this is what you've just done so eloquently, is when someone knows their stuff, they explain it in very simple ways. And it's when you find people that start blabbering on using too much technical mumbo jumbo that you understand that they don't know their stuff anyway, and that's not what's going on. This is so good. Phil, when it comes to the actual, what do you find from those principles that we've listed through? There's obviously a clear hierarchy that you've listed out that I think is supremely important. Where are people you finding getting caught up in the minutiae and are doing the wrong things? Where do you feel people are going wrong so we can actually be able to start make the right actions from today?
I think most people get caught up in things like how many carbs do I need to eat, what time do I need to eat this meal, what time do I need to take this supplement, what, you know, fancy accessory do I need to put on my leg to train, when they don't even know the basics or the fundamentals. And, you know, that's a big thing. You know, like there's so many people that literally, you know, they just don't put the right stuff in sequence. And, you know, the problem with that is that they end up getting confused. And, you know, it's like tactics before strategy. Like, look at those principles. Those principles are time tested. They're evidence based. They're the fundamentals of human physiology. And if you're not respecting that and, like, you know, worrying about your, like, the type of occlusion wrap that you're going to buy, whether you're going to buy the fucking $10 one or you're going to buy the fucking $35 fucking supercharged motherfucker, you know what I mean? It's just, like, that's you know, it's not that's not even relevant.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? So and, you know, like, one thing that I talked about the other day was, you know, like, getting in shape is so much easier nowadays with all this technology, with all these advances in food technology. And I talked about that on my social media a while back. It's incredibly easy to get in shape nowadays compared to 10, 15 years ago. You know, I don't know if you remember back whenever you were tracking things in a textbook or tracking things on Excel. And, like, when I look at my fucking old bodybuilding stuff, like, you know, I look at my old, like, journals and stuff like that, and, like, I had everything, like, calculated to the gram and the calories and stuff, and I keep that, I look at that, but you know, now you just scan the back of a barcode and it's you can collate your calories. The fundamental principle in fat loss is energy balance, calorie intake, so that's incredibly important. And you know, it's people don't understand that, and it's like looking at, right, you know, one food in isolation, right? Is this food bad? Is this food this? Is this food that? Bollocks. You know, you got to look collectively. And people, one of the biggest things that I see and biggest mistakes is people look at everything in isolation. They look at one exercise in isolation. They look at one food in isolation. They look at the timing of one food in isolation. Fitness, getting in shape, is a collective effort over time, weeks, months, years. It's not one day. It's not one isolated factor. And, you know, you got to consider all that collectives. And, like, you know, that information that I'm sharing, if you can't take, if you're not listening to that, you know, again, people don't listen. They like to hear what they want to hear. And, you know, I'm very straight with my coaching. You know, I tell you once, I always explain, and everything's always in a context based. But you still get people that they hear something and it throws their mind and they want to do this and they want to do that, and it's destined to fail, you know. But I hope that there's a lot of juicy bullet points there that are going to be very worthwhile for someone listening. But yeah, I mean, I know that's a bit all over the place, but it's all seemingly tied to the
exactly.
So,
that's the thing. I think where it comes to people being swept up in the stuff, as you said, like, which knee wrap am I going to use, or occlusion wrap? And it's just like, where am I going to best time my carbs? Or, okay, do I need to take my fish oil before my meal or during my meal? Which one's going to give me the best result? It's like, okay, whoa,
like,
hold up, wait a minute.
You know, it is so like insignificant that it's not even, you know, again, it's you know, people buy into that. You know, it's what else can I do? What else can I do? Chris, people are too impatient.
Yes.
To get it.
Yes. Let's talk to that, Phil. I think that's an important point, to give a realistic time frame. When someone comes to you, let's use a bit of an example. Someone comes to you, Phil, I want to work with you, I want to get in shape. Where does that conversation flow for you being able to set a realistic guideline as to, this is how you're going to go through the process, this is how the process will look, and this is how you need to start to understand what's going to happen?
Well, realistically, first of all, I will look at them and I will give them my honest opinion as a coach, and I will say to them, if you do what you're told, I would expect this.
Yep.
Bear in mind that's a very rough figure, because as somebody diets, we've got muscle gain, we've got fat loss, we've got social circumstances that may affect adherence. There's a whole go of things. But provided you stick to what I tell you, you're getting the best possible advice to get in the shape that you want to get into within the fastest time frame. And can I say that confidently? Well, the answer to that is yes, because I read, I study, I've got experience of doing that, and I'm very competent in my skill set. And, you know, you have to bear in mind that a lot of the clients that you will work with will not be giving you their all. You will be seeing 65, 70% of what's going on. The reality is once they leave the training session, the world is their oyster, and they can literally do anything and everything behind your back. And this is the problem now, Chris, is that every personal trainer is under much more pressure to perform because they see all these fucking perfect physiques on Instagram. Like, have you seen what fucking Instagram filters and Facetune do? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can really make a I mean, but it's like your client or everybody listening to this show will be waking up and listening or watching the perfect physique every day from 9 o'clock in the morning to 9 o'clock at night on social media. And like we said, off call, both me and you know that it's not healthy to spend time in that, and it's very unhealthy. And I think that the constant seeking for approval of social media is a big problem in the fitness industry nowadays. Fuck me, Chris. I mean, you roll back 10 years ago, back when you were probably a bro like myself, and we were just working and training hard and just living the iron life and just eating and training. It was our lifestyle, and it was very rare you would see a photograph of someone on the internet that wasn't a seasoned pro or great amateur. Nowadays you're seeing physiques, and you'll know what I'm talking about. You'll see physiques that look great on Instagram.
Oh, but then you meet him in person, you're like, you're half the size.
Like what the fuck? So the thing is, like, your clients, the people listening to this show that I want to get in shape, are listening to all that, and watching all that, and
it is. I think we should really speak to it, especially as a father of two daughters. I am very wary and worried and want to put the right environment, the right actions as to how are these girls going to be influenced in the world that they grow up in? Because I see, like, I was having a conversation and went out to dinner with a client and a mate that's actually here at the moment. We went out to dinner last night. We were talking about how normally you go out to dinner and you see so many people glued to their phones. I'm like, you're not connecting with anyone next to each other. But then unfortunately what they're consumed with is looking at pictures and constantly looking at someone else and thinking of themselves. And this comparison is causing some huge psychological problems.
Yeah. And I mean, I'll admit I don't really look at physiques anymore, but, I've been disconnected from a table and being engrossed in stuff that, is and like yourself, I'm sure we've all done it.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
I think that people are very uncomfortable in their own skin. You roll back 10, 12, 15 years ago, you had no option but to communicate. And I mean, it's that's the whole thing with entrepreneurship, the whole thing with business and getting in shape nowadays is, and running a personal training business, is that you're distracted by all that. And yes, it's important, it's a great tool to get out there and reach, but you can't let it dominate your life force. You can't let it dominate everything that you do.
How do you help someone create a true lifestyle out of this, being able to look, feel, and function better, and just like on a psychological level, be healthy?
Well, I think that boils down to a couple of things. One, you realistically have to be realistic with your goal setting. And again, depending on how you look right now, if you were to say to yourself, and this is a very simple process that I use with myself and my clients, is, right, to take me, for example, right, and I'll look at myself and I'll go, right, what do I want from this body? What do I want to achieve? How do I want to look? And I will go, right, I want to be stronger. I want to be leaner. I want to basically look better without my top on. Okay, so what are the top three things that would really, really promote that on a daily basis if you could do that? Okay, well, the first thing would be to consume enough calories to fuel my performance but keep me in a calorie deficit, which is the principle of fat loss. Two is to be able to progressively train and be consistent with the stimulus that creates the muscle tissue. And three would be able to listen to my body and rest and recuperate when I want, and also as well not to train whenever my body doesn't want to train and there's other priorities in the way. Because if I go, you've done it before, I've done it before, you've got that itch in the back of your mind where you need to go and train, but really you should be focusing on the business book that you're writing. And really you should be answering the emails that really need replied to, but you say, I'm going to get fat, I'm going to get out of shape if I don't train. And then you go in and you train with a mind clogged up with shit. And that training can be very counterproductive, very just meh. And you then walk out of the training session going, I had a really crap session. And that's a big thing for me, is literally, am I in the right state of mind to train right now? The answer is yes or no. And if the answer is no, then my body will go, yeah, but you're going to become overweight, you're going to lose your shape. And I think that's a protective mechanism that comes in because I was overweight as a kid, that comes in there, and you'll question it because you associate work with results, and you associate quantity of work with results. And the reality is you got to go, right, common sense, science, right, if I'm going to go in and stimulate my muscles, is it going to be the best session, or is it going to be average, or is it going to be poor? Right, well, it's going to be average and poor, right? Would you not prefer to wait a day or wait a couple of hours until you were really high quality and then go in?
I find it really interesting for what you said, because I resonated with it, especially because I was a very overweight kid, teenager, and how you said you relate the quantity of work to the results. Because me personally, and I'm happy to be open to this, especially like with work, I've always been, I'm going to run through walls and make this happen. I will write multiple books. I will shoot hundreds of videos. I will do everything because that's what it is. And I was actually recently listening to Peter Sage, awesome guy. I've watched his stuff. And he was talking about the 4 levels of consciousness and how there's to me, which is the victim mentality. Things happen to me. I can't do this because this happens to me. I can't lose weight because of my genetics. But then there's by me, which is everything has to happen by me. I have to go and do this. And that's where I was stuck at with so many ways. It would be like, I'd be feeling like shit, overtrained, under-recovered, got to hit the gym. Let's go hit it harder. Have a crap workout. Feel bad about myself. And it's just, that isn't look, feeling and functioning and living a happy life.
Not in the slightest. Not in the slightest. And then he also talks about through me and all those other elements. So, I've been in that place, and I honestly think that comes down to overwhelm and, again, a feeling of wanting to be very significant so fast. And again, I'm very open about it. Like, I'm human like everyone else. Like, everyone wants to succeed. And, like myself, you're very ambitious. And, sometimes when we go to fitness and we go to our business, it's like, right, what do we need to do to absolutely dominate? And the problem with that is that you can, see the wood but not the trees. And, the best thing that I've found for that now is to literally just get rolling with what your energy can work towards and build momentum. Momentum is the most powerfulest thing when it comes to fitness or any psychological behavior. It starts small. Next. And when you're in that flow, it's very easy to go, oh, well, I'm going to flick onto Facebook and check. Oh, I'm going to flick onto an ex-girlfriend's page. Oh, I'm going to flick onto an ex-boyfriend's page. Oh, I'm going to flick onto some other business's page. Oh, I'm going to flick onto this. And then you go in and you shouldn't be going in there, and your fucking head goes. And then the momentum's broken. Or you go down and go, oh, I'm going to make another coffee. And then what happens? The phone goes, or you dip into social media and your head goes. Like, if there's anything that I could share from a productivity or work or behavioral aspect, is keep momentum going and make your fucking environment robust. Like you see that thing there, like, fuck that phone, like,
totally. I was just bedside reading what I'm finishing at the moment. Habit, like this, exactly what you're saying. So important.
Yeah, big time. And it's but like, I don't regret anything. Like, I think, like I said, I'm obsessed with learning things about myself and improving the quality of my life. So, if I've had a day where I feel I've been underproductive, I will go, Phil, you have been underproductive today because of.
Yes, very powerful.
When you do that every single day, sooner or later you're going to identify what's in the way. And if something is continuously in the way, then you have a problem that you need to fix.
Yep.
And, everybody listening to this podcast or whatever around the world will have that main thing they need to fix.
Yep.
And that's usually a conversation with someone that needs to be put out of the way.
Yep.
Or people.
Yep.
So
that's really important. I also would say I think that's a conversation that has to be had with yourself. And that's what I found is one of the easiest ways is to journal. Do you know what I mean? So I'll journal quickly in the morning, quickly at night. And the nighttime one is actually, let's have some honest words with myself right now. Let's not piss around. Let's not lie, because it's easy to say during the day. Do you know what I mean? Like, so many things, self-sabotage, but then you just drop it off. You justify it for something else. But when you sit down and have an honest conversation, even it could be really quickly writing it down and being like, oh, I'm getting this result. I'm constantly checking on Facebook, and that's why I'm not getting any shit done today. I'm constantly eating these foods and overeating or whatever, so therefore I'm losing the weight.
Me and you have the same 24 hours in the day, Chris, and how your business performs and how mine performs and how your body looks and how mine looks is a reflection of what we've done in those 24 hours. But I remember what I said, you are what you do on average, so look accumulatively at your 24 hours. Okay, if you look accumulatively, then you will see what's going on. And I just think that it's just ultra important that you're just mindful of all that. And the journal is a great thing, but when you do a journal, make sure you write that authentically.
Yeah.
And when I say authentically, make sure you write that from a perspective of no one can see it.
Yep.
Which can be hard if you're living with someone. God forbid if they do find it when you have honest words with yourself.
Yeah.
So don't go there. So it's one of those things, you have to be mindful of what I basically do for the brain dump, to be honest, to be safer. I just get a piece of paper separate from my journal, and that piece of paper is a negative brain dump. Yeah. And that piece of paper, the physical action of burning that or flushing that down the toilet is what I do. Whereas the book is much more for affirmations, gratitude, how I want my day to go, reflections and learning. And the negative stuff, it's a psychological act of discarding that for me that works for me. So
brilliant. That is a very powerful tip. This has been...
And it's safe to say it'll save your ass in the long run.
I did say to Lauren, my wife, I go, this is the one thing that's untouchable. That one thing for it. I was like, I'm going to put it out there, and I probably suggest that you just don't read it, and I'm going to believe it. She was like, yeah, she's got the same. And I was like, I wouldn't, but it's a very good point. I also think the physical action of burning it or putting it down the toilet or whatever, I think that's a good disconnect and actually letting it go.
Nobody fucking does that. People don't understand, see even the stuff that you say day to day, I can't do, all of that's, you're just verifying. Words are the most powerful thing, written is second, and, you've got thought and stuff there too as well. And, there's times where you'll dip with motivation with your fitness, dip with motivation in your business. And, it's times like that where you really got to be able to talk to yourself. And I'll have like an affirmation, and I'll repeat that with emotion.
Yes.
Songs, music can be very good for kicking you into gear. We all know when we listen to certain music, we resemble it with certain thoughts and actions, whether that's relationships, whether that's achievement or success, whether that's health, whatever, relaxation. And again, a bit off topic, but it's all part of the lifestyle and recovery of strength training and getting in shape is, every morning I will work on myself before I work on anyone else. And that morning consists of either a walk with a podcast, sometimes music, normally music, because sometimes I just don't want to listen to anyone and I want to think about what I'm doing. And then I'll go in and I'll read for maybe 2 chapters of 2 books. I'll then journal and I'll plan my day and I'll work things out. At the end of the day in the evening, I'll reflect and I'll download everything and I'll put it off. I write quite a lot to myself. And I think that's really important, because if you imagine the everyday normal person that goes throughout their entire existence on social media consuming and never actually sitting down with a bit of paper and going, you know what, I'm going to maybe try and improve my life here. And that could be identifying bad eating habits. That could be identifying behaviors that aren't conducive with health or development. That could be, doing a lot of different things that are counterproductive to what you want to do. So, that's where I want to end, Chris. I think we've touched a lot of stuff there, and there's so much stuff people can take away, and I hope it's beneficial to you all. And I say thank you so much for having me on, Chris. It was a pleasure as always, bud.
Phil, this has been fantastic, mate. Thank you so much. This has been an absolute phenomenal conversation, and I know this is powerful, and it brings me serious joy knowing that I've been able to hit a record button. We can share this out with so many around the world. So thank you so much. But before I do let you go, Phil, where does the listener go right now to learn more about you and get in touch with what's going on?
My main website is phil-graham.com. That has all my articles and everything else on it. My podcast, Elite Muscle Radio, on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud. And then for those of you that are diabetic or know someone who has diabetes, diabeticmuscleandfitness.com is my new baby. So there is a wealth of information on fitness, muscle building, fat loss, everything to do with diabetes control on that site. So if you know someone or you are diabetic yourself, feel free to work away and learn. So, Chris, thank you, buddy.
Thank you so much, mate. I really appreciate the time. Always looking forward to talking to you next time and having a good laugh.
Good stuff, bud. Thank you.
To get the most out of this, and this is where I can jump in and give the answers that you need. So ask your questions in the comments below so I can personally come through and answer them for you. Plus, the best discussions happen on chrisdufay.com. So click on over to get everything that I've got there for you. And did you like this episode? Because if so, click subscribe so I can send you all the episodes to come for free straight to you. And for everything that I can't fit in these episodes, plus the free guides and coaching episodes, then click on over to chrisdufay.com now. Looking forward to seeing you soon and in the success community.